think it's rage bait? Do you think I could fix it in a way, make it not seem like rage bait?
I mean, is that a camera?
Yeah.
I don't know. Would I have to be on camera to have the conversation?
No, for sure. Definitely not.
I will wait.
Well, like, thoughts on the sign, maybe I could like rephrase it in a better way.
What exactly is the question you're asking? Like, is abortion murder? I mean, that's the question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, for what stance are you coming from this from? Like,
I just want to hear yours. And then if you're interested, you can hear mine. Maybe I should, you think I should put that on the sign?
possibly.
Okay.
Is abortion murder? Yes or no?
I
Answer that.
personally think no. Because, yeah,
What's your name? I'm Mikey.
Jedi.
Jedi. Nice to meet you. Yeah, if you don't want, I'm not going to put you on camera or anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I personally feel like it's not.
Yeah, how come?
I mean, well, from what statistics I've heard, life begins at a certain amount of weeks and not conception.
Okay.
So you could have an abortion could be considered taking a morning after pill with that logic. You know?
Yeah.
And you know, people do that all the time, and that's literally there's absolutely no baby in there the morning after. You know, like it's probably still sperm. You know, and then yeah, and then like I guess in other cases, like when they're further along, I don't know. I would say it's murder because murder is like, you know, murder has like a certain constitutional title.
What would you say is like your definition of murder?
Taking a life, I guess. I mean, like taking away life.
Like, I would say it's like unjust, it's unrighteous. It's not like someone goes into your house and tries like killing you.
Yeah.
In certain situations, it'd be right to kill them
that's
for like
not really
self-defense.
murder.
So that wouldn't be murder, right? It would be killing them in self-defense. But murder would be like you go up to an innocent kid, you just slaughter them. That's murder because like they didn't do anything bad, right? So I'd say that's the difference between murder and killing. But yeah, I appreciate you're the first person to come up, so I appreciate that, Jedi.
So what is your stance on it?
I believe that life begins at conception, and scientifically that it's a fact, and we could talk about that that certain premise.
So do you believe that taking a Plan B is also murder?
So Plan B, I might not fully understand what that is, but it's like after.
The morning after pill. You
Right,
take
so
that the morning after, and it stops any sort of baby from forming.
Right, but that's typically taken once if the woman doesn't take the pill, she's gonna continue with her pregnancy, right? Right.
A baby will probably form.
Yeah. Okay. So in that case, the zygote, I believe is what it's called, is already formed. So that's like the unique, like the woman's DNA and the man's DNA have already come together, and they've already formed the unique living thing, which is where I'd say it begins. So because as soon as you start saying, oh, no, it's later on, becomes really subjective to like, oh, some people say it's heartbeat, some people say it's brain activity, but says who that that's life? That's where the two unique DNAs come together and it becomes like a new person. And if you don't interrupt it, it will become a person. So that's why I say it's from conception. So then following through and stopping that life, that baby, that fertilized sperm, that fertilized egg, did nothing wrong, and it doesn't deserve to be killed. So that's why I would consider it to be murder. But yeah, would you say? Because typically it's like the different premises of when it does become a human. What do you think? You think it's?
I mean, personally, I think that honestly, I'm not sure. I feel like that's a more scientific question, and I'm not a very scientific person.
For
to be
sure.
honest. I'm more so debate based, like with my brain thinking. So like, I don't know. Like I could go back and forth with you on the concept of like how are they a murderer, but I don't think I would be able to get like the logic behind it.
Okay.
Only because I'm not like I haven't done enough research probably.
Okay. Yeah.
But, yeah, I would just say you can't really. I mean like you can, but like it feels unjustifiable to call a woman a murderer because she's making a choice that she doesn't want to, possibly burden herself,
For sure.
'Cause, I mean, to say abortion is murder is to say that women who have abortions are murderers, correct?
In a way, well, the ones that choose to get an abortion. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But, I mean, like, what about the ones that are raped and have, like, they feel like, they have no other option if they have to raise someone who was conceived from such a hateful crime,
Yeah.
then why would they ever want to take care of it? And then they get called a murderer because they got raped already and they didn't want to have the rapist baby.
Yeah, it's those types of situations really, they're terrible, but like the baby still did nothing wrong. And if you apply that same logic to other things, if you already have a baby and you apply the same reasoning, like, and it's a big burden on you, well, like say a woman,
Abortion. I mean, not abortion.
Well,
Adoption.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
adoption.
So like, let's say a woman did get raped and she followed through with the a pregnancy and now she has this kid, but she still feels burdened and like it reminds her of this terrible thing that happened to her. Does she have the right to go and kill that baby?
No.
Because, so why not?
It's alive.
I mean,
Right.
That's the thing, though.
So-
They don't really make
guess-
sanctioned
I guess you
medical
can-
procedures for already alive babies. I mean, like they might. I think they do. The baby might be alive in the womb, but they don't do sanctioned killings for babies that have already come into the world.
Yeah.
Unless they're preemies, and then like they only have so many hours, and it's just like put them out of their misery.
I see.
But
So yeah, if you just say, oh, just because something is like a burden to me, just because a human is being a burden to me, I can kill it. Then you can, if you
so
apply,
What about a situation where the woman is going to die if she has the baby, and she has to choose between killing herself by having the baby or having a procedure to get rid of it?
so
Is she a murderer in that case?
So in those types of situations, it's always safe to just do a C-section and remove the baby and try to preserve the baby's life and the mother's life. In very, very rare cases, I'm not even aware of, maybe there's something like that, but I'm not aware of it, where you have to,
Some women die in childbirth.
sure, yeah, but you can always do a C-section and try to save both lives. And then at that point, the mother's life and the baby's life, they're completely separated once you do the C-section, and you can try operating on the mother and the baby and try saving both of their lives. So in no cases do you have to, like, maybe there are some, but as I looked into it, you can always do a C-section and try to keep both of them alive.
So what if the baby already?
But these are good questions. I
What
appreciate
if
it.
the baby's going to die? Like, what if the baby has like a set due date when they are born? They're not going to be able to have like the functional growth to survive. Like they're a premature baby, and they're going to have to be put on all types of respiratory systems just to preserve some sort of life, even in brain death. Like the baby's basically breathing, but not mentally there. Should a person be forced to have a child like that, or simply put them out of their misery?
That's up to the mom and dad.
I mean, it should be, but what if the mom and dad, are called murderers?
At what point would you say, because like the doctors, you're saying they figure out that
Yeah,
the baby's going to be suffering.
They're doing ultrasounds. They figure out, your baby has this birth defect, and when it's born, it won't survive more than a few years. Should the people feel inclined to give it the few years and then let it die naturally, rather than to just not even, bring a child into this world for the sole purpose to die?
Right. So applying that same logic, you can go and look at other people that are already like maybe more mature, and they already, like, doctors are looking at them and saying, hey, they have a couple years left to live, they're not going to make it, and they're already in bed. Should you just be able to go and kill them and make that decision for them? Say, hey, yeah, as their parent, like if you, that was your child and they're like 14, 20 years old, they're pretty much brain dead. But can you go say, I'm just going to put them out of their misery and kill them?
It's sort of incomparable to being in like to actually being out in the world and alive and in a bed though, and compared to being in a womb, you know? Because like my sister just had a baby like 2 weeks ago,
It's awesome.
a newborn, and I honestly, a lot of people wanted her to have an abortion. I was one of the people. Please don't kill that baby. I feel like she's gonna be a blessing, and she is. I love her, but like
That's great.
you know, I can also understand if my sister had made that decision, and well, actually, I have another sister who did make a decision like that, but I don't know why. I think it was financially wasn't gonna. Yeah. What about financial problems? Like, what if a person simply cannot give the child the life that they are looking for, and knowing the system, because I'm not gonna lie, I've been a foster care kid before. The system is fucking crazy. Like the way that they will like haul these kids out and act like there's a place for everyone. It's not true. Kids end up in group homes, getting assaulted, and it's not fair that they should have to go through that when 11, 13 years ago, they were just a decision.
Hmm.
Live or die, you know?
I see. So you like the mom can't financially take care of the baby.
Yeah, like what if it's a situation where the mother cannot financially take care of the child and basically, yeah, she just decides, you know, I can't handle it and I don't want my child to be going through any sort of process, you know, any sort of processing where they could be harmed, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because it like a lot of people will say, you know, just have the baby, just give it up for adoption, but they really don't know what adoption is like, you know?
Okay.
Like getting adopted by an entire because like that's funny. My friend, she's not here right now, but she was adopted by an entirely different family from like the one she was born from,
Hmm.
and now she has no relationship with those people whatsoever. Like they're like strangers to her.
Her adoptive family or her biological family?
Biological. Her adopted family, they all love her. They're, you know, everything's wonderful there.
That's great.
And she probably did get a much better life than she would have had, you know. But it's just if you can think about if she had grown up in that biological family that was poor, struggling to make ends meet, like had to give their baby up for adoption because they just didn't have it.
Mhm.
Like imagine she had grown up in that family and she had just turned into a completely different person when in reality she could have just been, I don't know, aborted.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to ask your friend, would she rather have grown up in that adoptive family or have never lived?
Oh,
That-
she would kill me if she knew I was talking about it. No shade.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Like,
so yeah, so what? Can you rephrase your question? What?
I
sorry.
guess, like,
I
what
didn't-
if, like, what about financial burdens? Like,
Yeah.
what if a person just genuinely cannot financially handle it, and it just makes more sense, you know? And I'm talking about like early in the pregnancy. This is not like 9 months in.
Yeah. Okay.
I have no money. I have to kill the child. You know?
Okay.
Like I'm talking about like maybe the first month ish. You know, they're really weighing their options, and they just know they have no way of actually financially supporting a child.
Yeah.
And then the alternative is the system, pretty much.
I think your friend is actually a good example of how adoption is a great option. I wouldn't.
See, but she's like a 1 in a million case.
Okay.
Like, cause I've met other kids who were adopted, and they just basically maybe 2 years, and then they got thrown back into the fishes because something happened. The family didn't care for them. There's so many different things that can happen with adoption that it isn't that viable of an option. Like it should not be anyone's very first option. Like when weighing their options, you know?
Yeah. If I don't know if like typically it does seem that having a biological relationship with the
Yeah,
child parent
it
is
really-
better. But yeah, if the mom does see it, I think that's way better than ending that life. So right now in America, there's 3 million parents on a wait list for newborn adoptions. They're like, because people would much rather adopt newborns
I
other than.
actually have I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to cut you off.
No, you're
I
good.
do have a specific situation that I need to look up. It's a woman actually who's being. I feel like you've heard about it. She's in Georgia right now, and she's being forced to be kept alive. Essentially, she's brain dead, and she's pregnant.
Okay.
And her family, everyone in her family, basically wants the plug to be pulled on her because she's already brain dead. She's just breathing at this point. But because there's a baby in her stomach, Georgia law states that they can't pull the plug because it'll kill the baby.
Okay.
And I guess a C-section just isn't an option, so they literally have to make her wait until the baby is ready to stop cooking. Her family has to wait months of her being brain dead in the hospital while the baby is still cooking until it gets birthed.
Okay.
Do you really feel like that's humane in opposed to just having an abortion for the girl who's literally dead already practically?
I would say, like, I can go into my personal opinion on that, but it really doesn't apply to the main question. I could, but I wouldn't. Even if I did,
I mean, like, do you feel like her family would be murderers if they just sort of kidnapped her and the baby and like took her to California and just got an abortion? Like, would they really be murderers if they just wanted their daughter to die in peace and not be forced to be kept alive on hospital machines and this and that just because the baby's so important?
Yeah.
A baby that they probably don't even want.
I haven't heard of that situation, and it's probably pretty nuanced, and maybe there's a chance she'll live. I don't know.
No.
So I wouldn't. I can't.
Dead. She's dead.
Yeah.
Like because
Brain
brain dead you really can't come back from, like, unless there's like some spark, you know. But she's been brain dead for like a week now. I saw that case like a week or two ago.
Okay.
So she's at least definitely gone, because they've just been keeping her alive, like breathing wise, you know. Like she's probably connected to all types of tubes and stuff, and like machines. It doesn't feel humane to call anyone a murderer in that situation who genuinely is just trying to die in peace, and their baby is blocking that.
I see. Well, yeah. So I mean, I could give my opinion, but it's not really gonna change. It's not really a fundamental question to the question of to this
Yeah, because
abortion
I
being
can't
murder.
really answer that question. I don't feel like abortion is personally murder, but it's hard. That question is harder to answer because I don't know. My more so issue would be not like, is abortion murder? It's, are people who have abortions murderers?
What do you say like makes that? What makes the difference? What's the big difference?
Well, it's like you said, a person who's doing self-defense is like, you know, they killed someone in self-defense. Is trying to self-preserve yourself is self-preservation not a form of that, like, in its own? And if you find out that you're going to die from having a baby in any sort of way, and like what if a woman just cannot have a C-section, or she's already had a C-section and she's pregnant again, and the baby will kill her because she's already had a baby?
I don't know if so. Once you have a C-section, you can't have a C-section again.
I'm not sure. I mean, like, that's not actually something I know about, but I'm just like, what if the woman can't have a C-section? Like, what if that's the situation? Like, the options are have the baby naturally and die, or abortion.
I don't think there's situations where the woman can't have a C-section.
There have probably been cases studyable that have happened like that. I mean, like, history has been, what, thousands of years now? That's definitely happened at least once or twice.
Well, like, yeah.
Where a woman just couldn't have a C-section because of some medical reason, and then just had an abortion. Is she really a murderer?
If life is the doctors operating are trying to preserve life, if that's like their that's their basis, I think in any situation, cutting the stomach open, cutting your abdomen open, you should be able to be kept alive, even if you would have to be hospitalized afterwards. I don't know of a situation where getting cut open, having a C-section would end your life. I don't think that's.
I mean, I don't know. There have probably been situations because people, you know, there's people whose blood clots differently than others, so they could bleed out potentially just because it's not going to clot, and then so like causing a scar like that, because the blood that comes from birth naturally, it comes out, you know.
Yeah.
It's like almost, you know, cycle, whatever they call it. But like, the stuff that's coming out of a C-section, that's your stomach fluids too. Like that's all types of stuff that's just coming out kind of unnaturally pretty much because they just cut you open, you know. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it. And if it's not a viable option, you know, because that's the thing. What if it isn't a viable option? What if your only options are one or two? Because I mean, you're saying that there's probably there's no situation where that can happen, but I could probably find one. Like anyone can probably find one. Because medical mysteries happen all the time. That's why they're mysteries. I don't know. I guess my question, what I'm looking more so for is a loophole, you know? Like, is there a hole in the logic as to which a person can get an abortion and not be considered a murderer because it's to save themselves?
Yeah, I think in most situations the woman should be able to is able to get a C-section and preserve both the life of the baby and herself. So the situation of not being able to perform a C-section, I mean, you can feel free to look it up. I've never heard of such a thing. Actually, maybe I'll learn something. That could be something we could learn.
Medical cases of women. Because I'm sure it's happened. I mean, like,
Well, that'd be kind of like saying situations where people couldn't amputate a leg, right? It's very similar procedure. It's like situations where people couldn't amputate someone's leg. I don't know. Like, what would prevent? Like, if you have some like cancer spreading up your leg, in what situation would they not be able to just cut off your leg? It's just a cut. What did Google say?
oh. It gave me an AI answer. In certain medical situations, women may face limitations in both vaginal birth and C-sections, requiring alternative birth methods or interventions. These situations can arise to various factors, including maternal or fetal health conditions, previous C-sections. Okay, so previous C-sections can be a cause to not being able to have one again.
Well, I believe it said like complications, not just completely prohibited.
Not just completely, yes, you're right, complication.
Yeah.
But these are, yes, okay, so this says previous C-sections. While VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean, is possible, certain factors like the time since the C-section, maternal health conditions, or fetal size can increase the risk of complications and may lead to a... Okay, so there can be repeated C-sections as well.
Yeah.
I guess the question I should look up, are there cases of women who cannot have C-sections? Because I guess that's the better question.
Sure.
There are certain medical conditions and circumstances where a woman might not be a suitable candidate for a C-section. In some cases, a C-section may not be medically indicated, or the risk-benefit ratio for the mother might be higher with a C-section than a vaginal birth.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if the risk is higher for a C-section than a vaginal birth, but she also can't have a vaginal birth?
Right. So they're saying the risk is higher. She may not be a candidate.
So
like it's.
So you'd say it's better to take that risk rather than to just be safe.
That kind of question assumes that getting a C-section is going to put her at a higher risk.
Well, that's my question. If it is a higher risk for both, if there's a high risk for both, but there is a possibility that the baby could be okay, would you say that the woman should risk her life or just have the kid?
I would say it's not a risking of her life.
I mean,
it's
if there is because it's a higher risk of complications, and complications are just a small word for death, like sort of.
Yeah, they're not
Possible death.
not a word for death. Yeah.
Complications can be a word for like a lot of different like defects though, like things that can happen to people after giving birth. And also, what about the mental implications of birth? I mean, like, would you really want to send a child home with a mother who has postpartum?
Billions of women have.
And I mean, we've seen what happens. Babies get thrown down the stairs. It doesn't seem very humane.
is this a major problem that is like that we should stop giving birth to kids for that reason?
Not that they should stop giving birth, but it's just a question to ask. It's a question to be asked in the topic of, is abortion murder? The mental implications, physical implications, it all takes, take it all into account. Financial implications, when you're thinking, like, because women do when they're having abortions. They take it all into account. They don't just, oh, I don't want a kid, let me cut it out. Because that's what it feels like a lot of pro-lifers think. They think that people who are, they think that people are using abortion as contraception, which it most of the time isn't. It's more so just preventative measures. If you don't want to have a kid, you shouldn't have to have a kid just because you opened your legs, Because people make mistakes.
Definitely, yeah. And I'd say maybe one of my base points is that a human life that never had anything to do with a mistake should never have to pay the price for that mistake. If you make a mistake, and someone else should never suffer to cover up for that mistake, to pay for your mistake. So I just don't see that as fair.
Fair enough. Well, I think I might have said all I had to say, to be honest.
I appreciate it.
Fair enough. It was a decent conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you, Jedi.
What led you to this?
Just like ask personally.
Yeah, like what led you to setting up a camera and a sign on campus?
I have been thinking about I've been fighting with what I need to do in my life, what am I called to? And since the fall of 2023, I just had this on my heart. I feel like this is where I'm called to be. I can't really explain it, but yeah, I think this is what I need to be. I'm just called to this.
Okay, I guess I kind of have to ask, was there a personal situation that pushed you to this? Is it just something you were interested in? Because you said it, you had it on your heart, and I was like,
getting
abortions bothers you that much?
No, yeah.
But I mean, if it was a situation where you were with a girl and then she had an abortion and you didn't want that, I could see it being heavily on you,
For sure, yeah. I think it's a big deal. But no, I didn't have any personal situation. I think it's an important topic that I think people need to talk about.
Fair enough. But
So.
do you feel like you as a man are the right person? Because I can't. People have definitely gotten offended talking to you before, right?
You're the first one to come up.
Oh.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Do you as a man feel like you're the right messenger to be speaking to a diverse audience? Imagine you just get a bunch of different girls and boys, and also you're not really a certified doctor. So do you really feel like you are the right messenger for this topic?
Okay. Who would you say is the right a woman?
A licensed medical professional.
Okay. Could it be a man as well?
It could be, yes.
Yeah. I'd say I've done sufficient research, and I'm just mainly trying to figure out what other people think, just questioning them on their beliefs. And I wouldn't say it's that complicated of a topic to where most people can't have discussions about it. I definitely don't know everything that a medical professional would know, but yeah, I'd say it's not that complicated of an issue.
Fair enough. Okay, I do have a video to show you though.
Sweet.
This is as a favor to you in your travels as doing this.
Thank you.
Because you never want to come across a person like this. You were very respectful, but I don't know if you've seen this video.
Thank you for sparing me.
You just never want to come across a crazy like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm personally a little nicer, but some of my friends are a little crazy. A debate. A friendly debate.
Oh, I'm not friendly, so I'm gonna walk away from you now.
This is the friend I was
good.
talking about. But
Have a good one.
you have a good day.
Thank you, Jedi. Nice meeting you. Oh, thank you guys for watching. I've been thinking about doing this for so long, it's not even that scary. But I was just, yeah, praise God.